So I'll dive right into that. Every year we collaborate with other agencies with an interest in Steelhead Creek, which is the Natomas East Main Drainage Canal, or NIMDEC we call it. RD1000, the City of Sacramento Parks with their rangers, and then it's kind of spearheaded by this Regional Water Quality Control Board. And they provided the leadership to corral everybody to work together on this. And in the past, we would go out ahead of time with the rangers and they would hand out noticing to the people camping and hand out trash bags saying, hey, we're coming next week. Put up anything you don't want in these trash bags and we'll come pick them up next week. And so it was kind of a housekeeping cleanup. And we've been pretty successful. Usually it's about 40 tons, 80,000 pounds of trash that we get for a week-long effort once a year. And we're planning to do that again the first week of October. And once again, we should get a lot of trash because there's a lot of people out there. We toured the site earlier this week and it's packed. There's a lot of people just north of El Camino Avenue with tons of debris they've accumulated that hopefully we can get most of it. Our RD1000 had me over for a special meeting asking if we could consider a different approach this year. Their preference would be to actually remove all the encampments so we can do a deep cleaning this year. Go in with no campers on site within our project footprint and get all the trash out. But they want to prevent the campers from coming back. So the second half of that plan would be to have security routinely patrolling to keep people from reestablishing. And I said, that's a little different than how we've done things in our district. So I would need to bring the board in, see if there was any interest in pursuing that further. I actually talked to Steve a little bit about it, and you were recommending that maybe we should get something from them in writing, that something we can chew on and find out what are they really looking for us to do in this partnering, this different version of partnering. And I talked to Gabe Pullman, their superintendent. He said he would get back to Kevin King, their general manager, and see if they wanted to formally give us something that we could review and consider for partnering with them in Steelhead Creek. But I don't think we'll have it in time for the October cleanup. If they get something that I can share with the board in September, but then you start running out of time with regard to posting all the necessary notice and whatnot. So I assume that this year's cleanup will most likely go forward as we'll work around all the existing camps.
And what Tim also shared was that there was a cost component, there was the enforcement component, but it was verbally related to Tim. And I said, Tim, this is a lot of stuff to consider. I said, I would like to see something. I think the board would like to see something in writing that's detailed and have them come over and present it, because they were giving this to you to present to us. And I'm like, if they were really passionate, let's have them come in and explain to us what their vision is here. And so that's where we left it, because I didn't want to bring something to the board. I didn't support bringing something to the board prematurely. And I also didn't support having Tim have to carry the labor, having to row the labor more for them if they're not giving him enough information about what exactly they're asking us to do. And as he said, it is different than what our best practices have been. And so I think that we need to have somebody who have them come in to explain or provide us with enough information. At least we know what they're asking. Because right now it's still a little bit, I felt it was kind of squishy myself. So that's where we were.
When I met with them, they pointed out that they are using that practice on their side of NIMDEC and elsewhere in their district where they post notice. They remove the camps and they prevent them from coming back. And I pointed out, well, yeah, all those campers probably came to my district.
Yeah.
So what we've encountered is when you remove campers from one area, they just go a short distance away, which is probably still in our district. So you're just going to have to find out what's the long-term management plan for camps. Is there an area that is the best for us to manage where they're at? We definitely don't want them on the levees because they do damage, they block our access. But we know that even though right now they're down in the floodway, as soon as the water comes up, they all relocate to the levees. So this is a looming problem that could hit us in flood season because they're most likely all going to relocate to the levee itself when the water gets high.
All right. Did you have any thoughts or questions on that point?
I just wanted to agree with you for asking for them to bring a write-up, because what if there's additional costs is very different from our policies. So I know we have really good working relationships with all the different camps for cleaning up and helping with kind of picking up the trash and stuff so that our staff don't have to, because it's not something they're turned on.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate that we're gonna have more time, and I would really love if someone from their board would come to, whoever their general manager come to present it, or whoever's in charge of that, so we could ask them questions and get a better understanding of what they're asking.
I'd rather read the bid in writing first.
Well, yeah,
If I just categorically discuss it, and I don't wanna have them come thinking that we're gonna take direction. I don't wanna give the impression, not that we would, that we're just gonna take direction from them. So just, if you can, just gauge it as, frame it as, I need something in writing so that the district can review it.
Yeah.
And I'm just leave it at that.
Okay, that sounds great.
Does that sound, okay?
yeah, no, I mostly want the writing first.
Gotcha. All right.
So by Norwood, David and his team works with the River City Waterway Alliance to do trash pickup. And we felt like we were starting to get a little overloaded doing trash pickup. So I said that we can do one day a month. We're off. During the workday, all of our team goes up and we work with them and their volunteers. We do a giant cleanup once a month. And they want us to do it more often. They would prefer if we did it once a week. And I just don't think we have. Yeah. I love working with the people. They do great work. I mean, the volunteer effort that they put forward is just phenomenal. How much stuff they're getting out of the area. But I think for now, we're still only able to do it once a month. Maybe later when we get freed up, we can do it twice. Every once in a while, we'll throw them an extra cleanup or something like that. But just so you're aware, the group that we're helping, the Waterway Alliance, formally contacted the Central Valley Flood Protection Board to find out how to file an enforcement complaint against the two parcels that we maintain there, because they say the trash accumulation is so bad. They didn't bother to tell the flood board that we work with them all the time and that they came and briefed you and whatnot. So the flood board was a little alarmed, but I let the flood board know that we are actively engaged on this situation, on the specific parcels and with the specific group that complained.
What were they thinking?
Did they mention in a board meeting?
They came to talk to us about like working with them and that they appreciated us working with them.
They've given us two presentations.
Was that during
No, their enforcement chief reached out to me to find out what's going on, but they will most likely now have to log this as a formal briefing to their board about an enforcement item that they're going to be pursuing. So I'll be working with the flood board to figure out how we can correct it. But there's, on those parcels, there might be 50 camps. Upstream and downstream in Norwood.
To Norwood, you're talking about 30 people.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people. So they generate trash daily. It's not just a one-time cleanup type of thing. Yeah.
So the group we've been helping file the enforcement complaint,
Yes.
and have you had a conversation with them? Like, what the heck were you thinking?
No, because he texts me weekly and, you know.
Maybe it wasn't their leadership that found the.
No, it is. Yeah, David Ingram from Ingram and Tennant and Ingram Law Firm. Yeah, he's the one that David works
Correct.
closely with. Yeah, and I think
complaint is directed at us.
Well, to the flood board against our property that we've been helping them clean out.
When we do the cleanups, are we helping them?
That is just, that is just.
Not nice.
so far it's been mainly Norwood
I
Avenue.
heard it on-
So it has been that
Sorry.
parcel where the levee bows out.
Correct.
And then also they're concerned about the one upstream of Norwood where all that village is right now, the campus village.
Have they
Did you have any indication that they were going to file this complaint?
I had a hunch that they were getting really, really tired of sending a perpetual amount of volunteer hours to clean up this parcel over and over and over again. I had a hunch that they were going to seek other ways to get this situation corrected, since currently no one is removing the camps. The trash volume is not abating.
And we're as a flood control district, we're not equipped to move people.
No.
We don't have any law enforcement, that's a part of our district, as we shouldn't. We wouldn't put, just like the workplace violence, we don't put our staff in harm's way trying to move people. And so, I think I try to massage, that might be too late now, but I try to massage that, because I don't think that looks very good for us, and it's not good cooperation for that.
So if I was the owner of this property, I would say to them, I'm sorry, we can't help you anymore because we have an enforcement action against us driven by you. If you want to withdraw it, we can help you.
Thank you.
But this this is so inappropriate for what they did. And so I think, why would we help them anymore?
Yeah.
Am I missing something here?
No,
I have a question. Does it help, this is directed at David, maybe a little bit more than you, but by us continuing to work with them, does that benefit? Does it make it easier for you guys to do maintenance? But I know you spend a lot of time, but does it still like benefit you guys in a long time for your maintenance and your jobs being easier?
Correct, yeah, because there's a lot of trash on the slope.
It's hard to know.
Precedent that basically we're gonna continue helping somebody who just slapped us. I think it sends a bad message to other organizations, you know, Sarah, you know, whoever. I think we should not.
I have a couple questions about like just how their enforcement actions work, because it's kind of the field I work in a different area. Are we allowed to approach the group who filed the complaint against us? I know that some groups have rules about discussing that with the.
I would defer to the flood board because they have a formalized enforcement process. And I'm really glad Angeles Caliso reached right out to me because we partnered with her and her team on lots of things, moving forward with how to set the example for great maintenance. So she has a great relationship with us and we have a great relationship with her. So instantly she contacted me and said, hey, what's all this about? And I had to explain to her, well, there's a long-standing camping issue here.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of new to the enforcement process because we've never been on the receiving end of it before. So I'm going to work with Angeles to find out, well, what steps do I need to take? And am I allowed to continue working with these people that have filed the complaint?
Yeah.
Because we have a common interest.
Can I interrupt just real quick,
Yeah.
quick question? So do we actually have an enforcement action against us right now?
I think it's pending.
Pending, okay,
Yeah.
so Austin, is that, if we know we have a pending enforcement action against our agency, would this be something we can discuss in closed session?
Yes.
I would, my recommendation is maybe we agendize this for closed session, so we have a more open and robust discussion.
A month from now?
A month from now.
And we continue helping them for another month.
Well, but if we do it once a month, and we know that it is, that, you know, having the trash get collected is good. Here's my point, Brian, is that I think that we might be able to get more information about what the enforcement action entails. And I would feel better having this discussion we're having in closed session because it's
I
an
agree.
enforcement action against us.
Yeah,
And that, to everybody's point, is very disturbing. I'm not happy about it. But I'd much rather have a closed session, discussion where we don't have to worry about our strategy going down the road or how we might feel about this. That's my.
do we have a planned cleanups before the next board meeting?
Usually it's mid-month and we already did this month, so I don't think we
I'm still
do.
waiting for him.
Still waiting to hear back from him. And like David said, it does help us because the volunteers get a lot of trash that would be in our way. And it's preventing us from doing the great maintenance that we want to do. So because our first priority is making sure the levee integrity is maintained and intact, and getting the trash out of the way helps us a lot with that. But I think what a lot of this trash pickup is they're going down in the actual camps. They're a little bit further away from the levee and they're dragging stuff out that we then pick up with our equipment, put in the dump truck.
Okay.
Right now, there's a giant pile of trash bags on the levee ground the guys went to get today.
I'm
Right? So
sorry, and,
that's totally our thing.
okay, I interrupted Ray. Sarah also has a question.
So mine was more like specifically around kind of like how the enforcement process works, and you might even know a little bit of it. So can I ask, when were we contacted? Like, so
Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay, so
The first I heard of this was Tuesday. I got a call from Angeles while I was out watching the guys do a project out there. And then later that day, she sent a follow-up email with the actual complaint that lists the parcel numbers that are in violation per this complainant.
when was the last day you worked with?
I think it was last month,
Okay, so it would have been last.
It's usually on the 20th or something like
20
that.
something.
Yeah, about the 22nd or
Okay,
something like that.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
24th.
I'm just, sorry, trying to understand the timeline. And then I agree wholeheartedly with Steve that like for the more detailed parts of this, I'd want to do that. I would love when we do that, have that conversation. I'm happy to help you too, Tim, because I have a little bit more background in this, not the specific one, but the understanding of that. Looking at how their process works and kind of how they manage their timelines and stuff.
Well, I know they have a public hearing and they let the violator know that there is a process being started with them. And we would have an opportunity to explain our side of the story. And if I am requested to go down to the flood board, and I have a great relationship with those people as well, because they know our standard of care of the levees, I think I'll have to explain to them that there's active camps there. And so this isn't just a damaged site, that the damage occurred and now all we have to do is figure out a way to repair it. This is an ongoing generator of the debris that's the violation. So how do we address that?
Is there, I have another point, but is there a way to communicate that before the public hearing? Since you have such a great working relationship with them and communication?
Whatever I get, I can brief the board on before I go down there.
No. Communicate with them before it's actually in the process and we have a public hearing.
Well, that's why I think this enforcement's kind of in limbo right now, because as soon as Angeles contacted me, I told them our side of the story and explained it. They also asked, have I been briefing the board on this? I'm like, oh yeah, every month we tell them that we do these cleanups. Dr. Brady came and briefed you. Lisa Hernandez came a couple months and briefed you about their efforts. So you guys know all about our engagement and collaboration and picking up trash in there. That's why it's kind of out of the blue that the complaint email didn't mention anything about us or our relationship with them. They just went straight to the flood board and complained that the flood board had this problem. No. So I think it's in limbo because maybe Angeles is speaking with her management to find out, should they actually initiate a real enforcement action against us, or should they try to resolve it with the complainant first? Because it doesn't make sense to file a complaint with somebody that we're actively working with.
Well, I think that this creates a great opportunity for you to potentially nip this in the bud, because I'm afraid that if we, and I don't want to do the mental gymnastics and what if this, what if that, but just looking at it from a financial perspective, if it's a complaint against us, which indicates that we're responsible for this, and we obviously don't have the resources to do it, this could be a $500,000 or $1 million project between hiring law enforcement, hiring therapists, speak with the campers, multiple days, if not weeks of trying to win. If they're putting that onus on us, and then it opens us up to a lot of public scrutiny, lawsuits, and the fact that they already used a law firm to file the complaint. This is not a road we want to go down.
This is like, he made a good point, this should be in the closed session.
Okay.
Tamika?
The city DCR has been out there a lot more along that trail, especially because there's a lot of campments out there. Or just bought a parcel over there and working with some of the homeless service providers, and so it might be worthwhile maybe reaching out to the city
Sure.
somehow and extend, because they have been Altos, they've been going all down to Altos. But maybe they can come up to those parcels and continue their outreach.
Sure.
Because they've pretty much cleared the bike trail by getting those folks either in the program that's affiliated with my org or over on Roseville Road. So I would just suggest reaching out to the city and DCR.
DCR is great to work with. They really are. Hezekiah is our contact there. And his boss, Brian, I can't think of his last name. They're very responsive, but they're so overloaded right now. So we have only contacted them when we have something urgent, an urgent priority. I think this is starting to rise to that level. So I know Ross had engaged with he goes to the monthly meeting that they have the last Tuesday of every month, where DCR hosts this meeting with all the stakeholders and talks about their current efforts, and they find out what our concerns are too. And Ross informed them that our biggest problem at Norwood was all the people parking in front of the gates, because it's not just the campers having visitors. There's also a lot of charities and activists that park right in front of our gates and we can't get through. So I think DCR has done a lot more outreach there. And then also right there is the Fairbanks parcel that SafeCut is now trying to get Forensic Clean on board to clean up Fairbanks. That's on the land side. So oddly, it's not as big of a concern to the Waterway Alliance because they're not polluting the river. It's flat, but it's really bad. So DCR is going to be working that. But the complaint is about the one inside the levee section where the trash is going in the creek.
So I'd ask that we have this agendized next month under closed session.
Okay.
Right now, potential enforcement action, or hopefully not named enforcement action. By the time
I agree, Steve, wholeheartedly. But can I add, please, if you guys subject to this, tell me, is that, can you let's not wait until then. Let's work on this actively.
Okay.
Starting today.
Yeah.
And try to nip this in the bud. And if it doesn't look like it's going that direction, I would communicate with Austin and make sure that we have a legal response ready. Because this, I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't want to speculate, but this could be a huge financial cost burden and risk for us.
One tricky nuance involved is the state is the underlying fee owner of this parcel, not us. We own on the south side of Arcade Creek. If there's a dividing line right down the middle of the creek channel, we own on the south side and the state owns on the north side. So the state is actually the owner on the title of the two parcels where the complaint was filed. So, but we've offered to maintain every state parcel per all state and federal code. So we're kind of the steward of that land. So we are involved if there's some sort of claim, but I think the state would have to be involved too, because if anybody's going to work on evicting the camps, wouldn't it be the fee owner?
We just look out for our best interests as a district and our constituents, and
That's why I have a lot of conversations with Austin.
Financial.
Quick question. So in the 90+ year history of American River Flood, have we ever had one of these complaints?
No,
Okay,
I'm not aware of ever having enforcement.
how big a black eye is this?
Other districts get enforcement items against them all the time. It's usually erosion around a pipe down in some ag area down in the delta or something like that. And then, or it's somebody pitched some sort of mobile home on the water side of the levee where they didn't have a permit and they kind of notched out the levee to make room for it, and they get an enforcement against them, and they usually have a bunch of hearings. And then over the course of 2 years, it gets corrected and restored back to normal. So it's very common against other districts, but we've never had that in our agency before.
Right.
And this is maybe just clarifying, because like there's a big difference with the state and other agencies. So this currently is a complaint. There's no enforcement action, correct? This is just for me, like there's no current enforcement action. It's just a complaint, correct?
Yes.
And you wouldn't be aware if we've had complaints in the past, because oftentimes if they never go to an enforcement action, we would never hear about them, correct?
No, I think we have a good enough relationship with the flood board. They
Well,
let us know immediately if anybody ever complains.
Your tenancy here, like ones that are 90,
Yeah.
if the district's been around for 90 years, you might not know if we'd ever had a complaint 10
I
years
can
into
go
the district.
far back as when Paul Devereaux was the general manager here, and I don't think he ever had a complaint.
So let's just assume that we've never
Yeah,
had.
yeah, I just wanted to like clarify the difference between the two of them, because they are very different. Getting
Yeah.
enforcement action and a
So,
complaint aren't the same thing.
Mr. Ingram, who is the president of the Waterway Alliance, is also an attorney, and he's the one that filed this complaint wanting to pursue starting an enforcement action
Yeah.
on those two parcels that are owned by the state. But I think he knows that we're involved since he deals with this all the time.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thanks. Good discussion. Yeah. Good discussion.
Yeah.
Best of luck in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah,
And then I look forward to having maybe more in-depth conversation with more information
absolutely.
next month.
Thank you for your interest in
We
that.
should discuss it all.
Yeah. And David,